If you have leftover quilt blocks in your studio, I'm going to give you an idea of what you can do with them. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts. Now, we often have leftover quilt blocks from quilt projects, and we call those orphan blocks. And today I want to show you what you can do with them using the Quilt As You Go method. Now, if you don't know what the Quilt As You Go method is, it's where you have a quilt sandwich, basically a top, batting, and backing that you're going to quilt all at the same time. And then you'll have like one block quilted, and you'll take blocks and add them all together to create whatever size project you want. So if you're not familiar with how to do Quilt As You Go, make sure you check up above or down below because I'll put a link to a video on how to make a simple Quilt As You Go block. But in this case, we're doing something even simpler, and that is taking a leftover orphan block and using it for the top of a Quilt As You Go block. So again, you're going to have that quilt sandwich, you're going to have fabric for the top, which is your orphan block. You're going to have batting that's bigger than the orphan block, and backing that's the same size as the batting. So because I'm using my domestic sewing machine to do the quilting, I like to leave about 1 inch to 2 inches all the way around for the batting and for the backing. So I've got a block here that I have, and this is just a pretty simple kind of 9-patch churn dash. I'm not sure if it's churn dash or not, but anyway, I'm not good on traditional blocks. But anyway, it's a pretty simple block. And I just have a few of these left over from a project. So what I'm going to do is, as I mentioned before, I'm going to put the top, the block, on top of the batting, which is bigger. You can see there's excess batting all around. And then there's the backing, and there's excess backing as well. So now I'm just going to quilt it. And because this is a pretty simple block, I think a stitch in the ditch type of design would work really well and not take too long to do. You could quilt these however you want, of course. But I'm just going to do a little bit of stitch in the ditch here. I've got my SD foot on. I'm using the Janome CM17 right now, so this works really well for in the ditch quilting. I'm just coming down here because my piecing wasn't perfect, so I'm going to use the little hand wheel here just to move my stitches over just a bit to catch the ditch in this area. Okay, so I've got one line of ditch quilting done. I'm going to do the rest of the seams here, and then this will be all quilted. And then I'll show you what to do next, and I want to give you some ideas for what you can do on the back of the quilt to make it as interesting as the top. So here is my little quilt block just after I finished quilting it in the ditch. So I've done the top here, and you can see the quilting on the back, very simple. You could certainly add a lot more to it if you wanted to, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just keeping it very simple. So the next thing I would do is to trim this block all down to the size of the block. So trim off that excess batting and backing. And now I did mention I was going to give you some ideas for what you could do on the back of this quilt to make it a little more interesting. But before I do that, I want to draw your attention to the icon that is below this video, and that is the heart with the $sign in it. And that is your opportunity to support the Chatterbox Quilts YouTube channel. So if you enjoyed my videos and found them helpful, you can contribute as little as $2 to help support my small business. You just click on that little icon and contribute however much you feel comfortable. Thanks so much for supporting the Chatterbox Quilts YouTube channel. Now, what can you do on the back? Well, because you're making each block separate, you could use different fabric on the back. You don't have to use the same fabric on every single block. So you could choose a few different colors, maybe just 2 colors, and alternate the backing on the different orphan blocks that you have, and then create a little design with it. You could even choose different fabrics to create a 9-patch look. So as many different fabrics as you would like to have on the back. You could make them all completely different. But before you get into that, it's a good idea to consider how many blocks you're going to be putting together in your project. So if you have 9, for example, you know you've got 9 different block backs to play with. So you could choose the fabric appropriately depending on how many blocks you're going to put together to create that final project. So with just a little thinking and some orphan blocks, you can make a really easy Quilt As You Go project and have it even be reversible. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching. And while I've talked about using your orphan blocks with the Quilt As You Go method, which makes it really simple, you may wonder about other types of Quilt As You Go blocks that you can make. Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. Check out this video to find out more ideas for Quilt As You Go blocks. For more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.